Welcome to Marble Mind. Here we forge an unshakable spirit in the fire of ancient wisdom. Look at the world around you. It is a relentless machine designed to break you. It attacks you through your desires. It poisons you through your fears. It distracts you with 1,000 trivialities until your soul is as thin and fragile as glass. Most men live in a state of constant structural failure. A single harsh word, a dip in the economy, or a sudden betrayal is enough to bring their entire internal world crashing down into the mud. They are not living. They are merely reacting to the blows of fate, bleeding out before they even realize the war has begun. But there is a different way to exist. There is a design for a mind that does not bend, a mind that does not crack, a mind that looks at the hurricane and sees nothing but movement. This is what the Stoics called the inner citadel. It is not a gift from the gods. It is a construction project. It is the process of taking the raw, chaotic energy of your emotions and tempering it into cold, hard steel. In this session, we are going to lay the foundation stones of the steel mind. We will explore the engineering of the soul as practiced by the titans of our lineage. We will learn from Marcus Aurelius how to remain still while the empire burns. We will study Seneca's blueprints for surviving the madness of a tyrant, and we will follow Epictetus into the depths of hardship to find the freedom that only a prisoner can truly understand. Building a mind that cannot be broken requires you to be both the architect and the laborer. You must be willing to tear down the soft, rotting structures of your ego. You must be willing to dig deep into the bedrock of your own darkness to find the solid ground. This is not about positive thinking. This is about structural integrity. This is about the refusal to be a victim of circumstances. By the end of this journey, you will no longer be a leaf tossed by the wind. You will be the mountain. You will learn that while you cannot control the storm, you can become the storm's master by simply refusing to be moved by it. The fire is ready. The hammer is in your hand. Let us begin the construction of the invincible. Every great structure begins with a survey of the land. In the architecture of the steel mind, this is the most critical step. It is what the Stoics called the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, the man who spent half his life in chains, began his Enchiridion with a sentence that is the foundational beam of our fortress. Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. It sounds simple. Too simple for the modern mind that loves complexity. But look at the rubble of your life, and you will find that every moment of your suffering was caused by a violation of this law. You suffer because you are trying to build on vapor. You are trying to control your reputation. You are trying to control the weather. You are trying to control the decisions of other people, and you are trying to control the inevitable march of time. These things are not yours. They are the wind. And when you try to grasp the wind, you lose your balance. The steel mind begins with a brutal, clinical separation. You must draw a line in the sand with a razor. On one side, there is the external world, the actions of others, the economy, your health, your past, and the ultimate silence of death. On the other side, there is only one thing: your own reasoned choice, your judgments, your intentions, your internal response. Think of a captain of a ship in a massive gale. The captain cannot control the height of the waves. He cannot command the lightning to stop. He cannot force the wind to change direction. If he wastes his energy screaming at the sky, his ship will sink. Instead, he focuses entirely on the things within his grip: the angle of the sails,
the tension of the ropes,
the position of the rudder. He ignores the roar of the ocean to listen to the creak of the wood. He is silent because he is calculating his next move. To build a mind that cannot be broken, you must become this captain. When a crisis hits, you must immediately ask, is this something I can change with my will? If the answer is no, then it is nothing to you. It is merely a fact of nature, like gravity or the setting sun. To complain about it is to be a child. To fear it is to be a slave. Practice this tonight. Take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On the left, list everything that is currently stressing you out: your debt, your critics, the political climate, the mistakes of your youth. On the right, list what you can actually do about them today. You will find that the left side is a mountain of noise, and the right side is a handful of actions. Burn the left side of the list. It is dead weight. It is the rot that makes your mind fragile. When you stop leaking energy into things you cannot influence, that energy begins to accumulate within you. It thickens your spirit. It hardens your resolve. You stop being a victim of what is happening and start being the master of how I am responding. The first layer of steel is the realization that your internal peace is a sovereign territory. No one can enter it without your permission. No event can disturb it unless you give it the power to do so. You are the architect. You decide what is load-bearing and what is debris. Strip away the vapor. Keep only the solid. This is the only way to build a structure that will stand for eternity. The steel mind is not defined by what it sees, but by how it interprets what it sees. Every event in this universe is objectively neutral. It is only your judgment that dyes it with the colors of good or bad. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Everything is opinion." This is not a call to relativism. It is a declaration of supreme power. If your mind creates the meaning of your life, then you have the power to redefine your suffering as strength. Think of a massive fire. To a weak man, a fire is a disaster. It consumes his house and leaves him in ashes. But to a master blacksmith, that same fire is a tool. It is the very thing he uses to melt the iron and forge the blade. Without the fire, there is no sword. To build a mind that cannot be broken, you must stop seeing obstacles as problems and start seeing them as the fuel for your growth. This is the Stoic concept of amor fati, the love of fate. Most people spend their lives in a state of internal protest. They shout at reality, "This shouldn't be happening." This protest is a crack in your structure. It creates a friction that grinds down your spirit. The steel mind does not protest. It accepts the raw material of reality and immediately begins to work with it. If you are betrayed, you do not ask why. You use the betrayal to practice the virtue of self-reliance. If you fail, you do not mourn. You use the failure as a laboratory to study your own weaknesses. Practice the reframing of the blow. When someone insults you, your default reaction is to feel wounded. But look closer. Are they wounding you, or are they merely making noises with their mouth? Their opinion cannot penetrate your skin unless you open the door. You can choose to see that insult as a test of your patience, a free training session provided by your enemy to make you stronger. Suddenly, the attacker is actually your coach. This is how you build a structure that thrives on pressure. In engineering, there are materials that are pre-stressed. They are designed to become more stable when a load is placed upon them. Your mind must become a pre-stressed material. The more the world tries to crush you, the tighter your internal architecture should become. You are not enduring the weight. You are using the weight to anchor yourself to the ground. Stop labeling events. Stop using words like unfortunate, unfair, or catastrophic. Strip the adjectives away until you are left with the cold, hard facts. A job lost is simply time gained. A relationship ended is simply a lesson learned. When you control the narrative, you control the world. The lead of your circumstances is turned into the gold of your character. But only if you have the courage to keep the fire of your reason burning hot enough to melt the lie. Your desires are the soft spots in your armor. Every time you need something external to be happy, whether it is the approval of others, a certain amount of money, or a specific comfort, you are handing a leash to the world. You are telling the universe, "Here's the hook, pull it, and I will dance." The steel mind is a mind that has cut all its leashes. Epictetus taught that freedom is not the ability to get what you want, but the ability to not want what is not in your power. Most men are slaves because their happiness is a hostage to fortune. They are terrified of losing what they have and exhausted by the pursuit of what they lack. This constant state of wanting creates a hollow space in the soul, a vacuum that the world can use to collapse your structure from the inside out. To forge a mind that cannot be broken, you must practice voluntary hardship. You must intentionally starve your internal saboteur. Seneca, despite being one of the wealthiest men in Rome, would set aside days to eat only the coarsest bread, wear the cheapest clothes, and sleep on the hard floor. He did this to ask himself the most important question in Stoicism: is this the condition I so feared? When you realize that you can survive on very little, when you realize that cold, hunger, and silence cannot destroy your reason, you become dangerous. You lose your fear of losing. If a tyrant threatens to take your house, you laugh because you have already proven to yourself that you don't need a house to be a king. If a crowd threatens to shame you, you remain still because you have already proven that your self-respect is not for sale. This is the discipline of apatheia, not a lack of feeling, but a freedom from the passions that cloud the judgment. You still feel the cold, you still feel the hunger, and you still feel the sting of loss. but you do not let them move the needle of your soul. You are like a deep ocean. The surface may be choppy, but the depths are silent and immovable. Practice this in small ways every day. Take a cold shower to remind your body who is in charge. Skip a meal to prove that your hunger is not your master. Leave your phone at home to break the addiction to distraction. Every time you say no to a comfort, you are adding a layer of carbon to your iron, turning it into steel. You are building a mind that is self-contained, a mind that provides its own light and its own warmth. When you no longer need anything from the world no longer has any power over you. You are the architect of a fortress that cannot be besieged, because the enemy has nothing you want and can take nothing you truly value. If this path resonates in your heart, become a part of our brotherhood. Subscribe to Marble Mind. A fortress with open gates is nothing but a ruin. To build a mind that cannot be broken, you must master the architecture of silence. Most men allow every passing thought, every piece of news, and every trivial gossip to enter their mental space. They have no walls. Their minds are like public squares, filled with the stench and noise of the crowd. The steel mind, however, is a private sanctuary. It is a laboratory where thoughts are tested before they are allowed to become convictions. Marcus Aurelius often spoke of the importance of retreating into oneself. He didn't mean a physical retreat to the mountains, but a mental one. In the heat of a battle, or in the middle of a political betrayal, he would withdraw into the silent chambers of his own reason. He knew that the world cannot hurt you if it cannot reach you. Your silence is the moat that keeps the madness of the world at bay. Practice the sanctity of the gate. You must become a ruthless sentry at the entrance of your mind. When a piece of information tries to enter, a headline designed to make you angry, a comment designed to make you insecure, you must stop it. Ask, is this useful? Is this true? Is this within my control? If the answer is no, you do not let it pass. You do not dwell on it. You do not give it a seat at your table. You watch it drift away like smoke. The world wants your attention because attention is the currency of power. If they can make you react, they can own you. But when you meet the world with a wall of silence, you break its leverage. Silence is not a lack of response. It is a calculated refusal to be moved. It is the steady hand of the architect who refuses to stop drawing just because a storm is howling outside his window. In your daily life, cultivate blackout periods, hours where no one can reach you, hours where you do not consume but only create and reflect. In this silence, the steel of your thoughts has time to set and harden. A mind that is constantly interrupted is a mind that is constantly under construction, but never finished. Build your walls high. Protect your focus. The deeper your silence, the more immovable your fortress becomes. The steel mind is not a passive thing. It is not a mind that hides from the world. It is a mind that operates within it with terrifying precision. Stoicism is a philosophy of action, but it is ordered action. While the rest of the world is running in circles, fueled by panic and adrenaline, The man of marble moves in straight lines. He understands the geometry of the moment. When a crisis erupts, the common man loses his structural integrity. He acts out of fear, he lashes out in anger, and he makes decisions that he will regret before the sun sets. The steel mind does one thing first. It remains still. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, taught that the goal of life is a smooth flow of existence. This flow is achieved by aligning your actions with the logic of nature, regardless of the chaos surrounding you. Think of a massive stone pillar in the middle of a collapsing building. The roof is falling, the dust is blinding, and people are screaming. The pillar does not scream. It does not try to run. It simply performs its function. It holds the weight. To be broken-proof, you must identify your function of the moment. If you are a father, your function is to be the calm for your children. If you are a leader, your function is to provide the plan. If you are a soldier, your function is to hold the line. The steel mind uses the rule of the next logical step. Do not look at the entire mountain of the problem. That is how you become overwhelmed. Look only at the next square inch of the map. What is the one thing that must be done right now to maintain your integrity? Do that thing with total focus. Then do the next. By breaking the chaos into small, manageable tasks, you bypass the emotional centers of the brain. You turn the unbearable into a series of technical problems. In the middle of a storm, your movements should be slow and deliberate. Speed is often a mask for panic. Accuracy is the hallmark of the master. When you move with stoic gravity, you anchor those around you. You become the point of reference for the lost. Action is the ultimate test of your architecture. If your mind is built correctly, your actions will be clean, decisive, and free from the rot of hesitation. You don't act because you feel like it. You act because it is the only thing that makes sense. You are the pillar. You hold the weight. And while the world crumbles, your structure only becomes more vital. Every building has two types of structures, the load-bearing steel and the decorative wood. In the mind of the weak man, the ego is the wood. It looks impressive, it occupies space, but the moment the fire starts, it becomes fuel for the disaster. To build a mind that cannot be broken, you must perform a controlled demolition of your own vanity. You must burn away the hollow self so that only the functional self remains. Marcus Aurelius frequently practiced a technique we call physical definition. He would look at his imperial purple robes and tell himself they were nothing but sheep's wool dyed with the blood of a shellfish. He would look at a gourmet meal and see it only as a dead fish or a dead bird. He did this to strip away the story that the ego tells. The ego wants everything to be special, significant, and centered around you. The steel mind wants everything to be objective. The ego is the most fragile part of your architecture. It is the part that gets offended. It is the part that feels entitled to a certain outcome. When you are offended, it is because your ego has a thin skin. When you are disappointed, it is because your ego made a contract with reality that reality never signed. The Stoic kills the ego to save the man. If you have no ego, you have no surface area for the world to strike. If you don't care about being right, but only about being rational, then an argument cannot move you. If you don't care about being admired, but only about being effective, then a critic cannot wound you. You become like a ghost in a battlefield. The bullets of public opinion pass right through you because there is nothing for them to hit. Practice the third-person perspective. When you suffer, do not say, "I am hurting." Say, "This body is experiencing a sensation of pain." When you fail, do not say, "I am a failure." Say, "The plan did not produce the intended result." By distancing yourself from the event, you preserve your structural integrity. You are the observer, not the victim. You are the steel core, watching the decorative wood of your reputation turn to ash. And you are at peace because you never needed the wood to stand. Most people view pain as a signal to stop. For the steel mind, pain is a signal that construction is underway. There is a specific kind of strength that can only be forged in the middle of an ordeal. The Stoics called this ascesis, the training of the soul. They understood that comfort is the enemy of the mind. Comfort makes you soft. Comfort makes you leaking. Pain, however, is a concentrator. It forces you into the present moment. It forces you to find the limit of your endurance and then push past it. Seneca once said, "I judge you unfortunate because you have never lived through misfortune. You have passed through life without an antagonist. No one can know what you are capable of, not even you." Without an antagonist, your mind is untested. It is a theory, not a fortress. To build a mind that cannot be broken, you must learn to use pain as the mortar that holds your stones together. When you experience physical or emotional pain, your instinct is to flee. But the steel mind leans into the pressure. You must practice the internal audit of pain. Ask yourself, is this pain destroying my ability to reason? Is it preventing me from being just? Is it forcing me to lie? In 99% of cases, the answer is no. The pain is just a noise. It is a storm outside the walls. It can howl, but it cannot enter the citadel unless you open the gate of your own will. Think of the athlete who trains until his lungs burn. He does not stop because of the burn. He smiles because the burn is proof that the muscle is growing. You must treat your life's tragedies the same way. The loss of a loved one, the sting of a betrayal, the exhaustion of a long struggle. These are the weights in the gymnasium of the soul. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "How can I use this to harden my spirit?" This is the alchemical shift. You take the raw, jagged shards of your agony and you use them to fill the gaps in your defense. You become a person who is not just brave, but anti-fragile. A brave man survives the fire. An anti-fragile man needs the fire to become what he is meant to be. Stop seeking a life without pain. Seek a mind that knows what to do with it. The steel mind does not break under pressure. It crystallizes. It becomes denser. It becomes more beautiful. The pain is not the end of the building. It is the very thing that makes the building eternal. Let the hammer strike. Every blow is just making the steel more pure. A true fortress is not built for the days of sunshine. It is designed for the 500-year flood. Most men plan for the best and are destroyed by the average. The steel mind, however, is built upon the foundation of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This is the structural stress testing of the soul. Before the world can break you, you must break yourself in your own mind. Every morning, before the world begins its assault, sit in the silence of your citadel. Do not visualize success. Visualize the collapse. Imagine that today, everything that can go wrong will go wrong. Your car will not start. Your colleagues will lie about you. The person you love will leave. Your health will fail. This is not pessimism. It is defensive architecture. By rehearsing the catastrophe, you strip the event of its power to shock. Fear is a product of the unknown, but for the Stoic, there is no unknown. You have already walked through the ruins of your life 1,000 times in your imagination. When the actual evil arrives, it finds a mind that is not surprised, but prepared. You look at the disaster and say, "I have expected you. I have already built the room where we will sit together." Think of a bridge. It is not built to hold only the cars that are on it now. It is built to hold 10 times that weight during a gale. Your safety factor is your mental preparation. If you only have enough strength to handle a good day, you are a structural hazard to yourself. You must over-engineer your spirit. You must be so prepared for the worst that the merely difficult feels like a vacation. This is how you eliminate the friction of fate. While others are paralyzed by the shock of a setback, you are already executing Plan B. You move with the smoothness of a machine that has already simulated every possible error. You are not fighting reality. You are simply proceeding through a design that you have already approved. Your thought is important. Leave a short but meaningful comment under this video. Let it be your seal on today's lesson. In architecture, the keystone is the stone at the top of an arch that locks all the others into place. Without it, the structure falls. In the steel mind, the keystone is memento mori, the constant, cold awareness of your own death. To the weak, this thought is a shadow that darkens their joy. To the Stoic, this thought is the light that reveals what is truly solid. Nothing makes a mind more unbreakable than the realization that it has nothing to lose. Most of our fears are the fears of losing our time, losing our status, losing our comfort. But when you carry the image of your own skull in your mind, you realize that you have already lost everything. You are a dying man among dying men. The crisis at work, the insult from a stranger, the stress of a deadline. How do they look in the eyes of a man who knows he is a corpse on a temporary leave of absence? This realization turns your iron into the hardest steel. It gives you a divine indifference. When you are no longer afraid to die, you are finally free to live with absolute integrity. You stop hedging your bets. You stop compromising your values to avoid a little discomfort. You speak the truth, you act with justice, and you hold your ground, because you know that the worst the world can do is kill you, and that is going to happen anyway. Seneca said, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a man who is alive." The fear of death is the ultimate crack in your armor. It is the leverage point that tyrants and cowards use to bend you to their will. But when you seal that crack with the keystone of mortality, you become a monolith. Practice the final hour perspective. When you are faced with a difficult decision or a crushing burden, ask, in my final hour, will I care about this? Will I regret being brave, or will I regret being safe? Death is the great editor. It cuts away the fluff, the vanity, and the trivial. It leaves only the steel. By living with death as your companion, you ensure that every stone you lay in your mind is a stone that is worth the weight of eternity. A fortress is not finished when the last stone is laid. It is a living entity that must be defended every single day. The world does not stop trying to break you once you become strong. In fact, it often tries harder. It tests your new walls for cracks. It looks for a moment of complacency, a single day of laziness, or a flicker of old vanity to re-enter your mental space. To have a steel mind is to live in a state of perpetual, calm readiness. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the art of life is more like wrestling than dancing. It requires a firm and watchful stance against any sudden and unforeseen attacks. You must treat your discipline like a weapon that you sharpen every morning and clean every night. The moment you think you have arrived, the moment you think you are unbreakable by default, is the moment the rot begins. The steel mind requires a daily inspection. Before the sun sets, walk through the corridors of your mind. Where did you lose your temper today? Where did you let a desire lead you by the nose? Where did you speak more than you listened? These are the micro-fractures. Do not mourn them, but do not ignore them. Seal them with the mortar of self-correction. The Stoic does not seek perfection. He seeks a relentless progression. You must also understand that the steel mind is not a cold, dead thing. It is a structure built to protect the fire of your soul. A mind that is truly unbreakable is a mind that can be kind without being weak. A mind that can love without being needy. A mind that can act with justice even when the world is unjust. Your strength is not a cage for your humanity. It is a shield for it. The maintenance of the monolith is found in the small disciplines. It is in the way you hold your posture when you are tired. It is in the way you speak to a subordinate. It is in the way you handle a minor inconvenience. If you are sloppy with the small stones, the great arch will eventually fail. Live your life as if you were an ancient statue being slowly revealed by the wind. The world may blow sand and rain against you. It may try to bury you, but it can only reveal the quality of the material you have chosen to be. Stay vigilant. Stay disciplined. The work is never finished, and that is why it is glorious. The gates are closed, the walls are high, and the foundation is deep. We have built a mind that does not look for the storm to pass, but learns to stand within it. You have learned to separate the vapor from the solid, to turn the lead of your pain into the gold of your character, and to use the awareness of your own death as the ultimate source of life. You are no longer the person who entered this forge. You have been deconstructed, tempered, and rebuilt. The steel mind is not a promise of a life without problems. It is a promise that no problem can ever truly destroy you. You are now the master of your own internal climate. The world can be freezing, it can be burning, it can be chaotic. But inside your citadel, there is a steady, unwavering light. As you leave this session, remember, the strength of a building is not tested on a sunny day. Your test is coming. It may be tomorrow, it may be in 10 years, but when it arrives, when the earth shakes and the sky turns black, you will not scream. You will not pray for a miracle. You will simply look at the chaos and recognize it as the very thing you were built for. You are the architect of your own invincibility. You are the guard of your own peace. You are the marble mind. Hold the line, stay cold, and let the world find out what happens when it tries to break a man who has already conquered himself. This is Marble Mind.